Welcome back to the Rise Up podcast. Today's episode is all about tackling life's challenges and learning how to avoid the kinds of crises that can really shake us up. We'll explore some practical insights about redefining our sense of self-worth and building resilience from the inside out. If you've ever wondered how to navigate life's unpredictability with confidence, this episode is for you. And don't forget, we've prepared a PDF transcript for this episode, so if you'd like to follow along or review later, it's available for you in the description. Let's dive in. You know, life has this funny way of throwing stuff at us when we least expect it. One minute, everything feels fine, and the next, it's like you're standing in the middle of a storm with no umbrella. We've all been there, right? But here's the thing. While we can't control everything, a lot of the big, messy crises we go through are actually avoidable. Not all of them, of course, but I'm talking about a solid 90% here. And the good news? It doesn't take magic or luck. It just takes a shift in the way we think about life. Let's talk about it. First, let's be honest. We all tend to tie a big part of who we are to what we do. It's like you get that promotion or you land a job that feels like a dream, and suddenly you feel on top of the world. You've got the respect, the title, maybe even a paycheck that makes your past self jealous. And that's great. You should feel proud of those accomplishments. But here's the catch. If your entire sense of self-worth is wrapped up in that job, what happens when it's gone? Maybe you retire, maybe the company restructures, or maybe a younger, fresher face comes in and takes your spot. Then what? I've seen this happen so many times. People who were thriving in their careers suddenly feel lost when that chapter closes. It's like they don't know who they are without their job. And let me tell you, that's a heavy place to be. It's the same story with looks, relationships, or even money. When we define ourselves by things that can change or fade, we're setting ourselves up for a rough time down the line. So here's where the big shift happens. Instead of tying your worth to these outside things, you've got to start looking inward. I know. It sounds like one of those self-help cliches, but hang with me for a second. Think about it like this. Imagine you're on a boat. If you think the boat is your identity, what happens if it starts sinking? You feel like you're sinking too, right? But if you see your identity as your ability to navigate, to swim, or to figure out how to build a new boat, then no storm can really take you down. It's all about focusing on what's inside you, your adaptability, your resilience, your ability to learn and grow. And look, I get it. It's easy to say, don't tie your worth to outside stuff, but actually doing it? That takes some work, especially because the world we live in kind of encourages us to do the opposite. Think about it. We celebrate job titles, paychecks, followers on social media, how we look in photos. And while those things can be fun or rewarding, they're also super fragile. Jobs can end, appearances change, and trends move on. But the things inside you, those are yours to keep. Let me give you another example. Relationships. Have you ever been so in love that you said, or maybe even just thought, something like, "You're my everything"? It sounds sweet, but it's actually a pretty dangerous mindset. Because if that relationship ends, suddenly you feel like you've lost your whole world. I've seen people fall into this trap. And it's heartbreaking. Some people take years to bounce back because they made someone else their entire identity. And don't even get me started on appearances. Society puts so much pressure on us to look a certain way. But the truth is, none of us are getting any younger. If you base your confidence on how you look, what happens when age catches up with you? I mean, it's just reality. But the good news is, if you focus on things that don't fade, like your kindness, your sense of humor, or your ability to connect with others, you'll always have something solid to stand on. The point I'm trying to make is this. When you tie your identity to things that can't be taken away, life gets so much easier. Instead of worrying about what you're going to lose, you start building on what you already have. And trust me, that shift? It's huge. It's the difference between feeling like life is happening to you and realizing that you're the one steering the ship. And I don't want you to think this means you shouldn't care about your job or your relationships or anything like that. Those things are important. It's just that they shouldn't be the only things that define you. Like, if you're proud of your career, awesome, But also, be proud of how you solve problems or how you handle tough situations. If you're in a great relationship, that's amazing. But don't forget about the parts of you that exist outside of that relationship. The hobbies, the passions, the quirks that make you, you. At the end of the day, life's unpredictable. Stuff changes, people change, situations change, but the one thing you can always count on is you. Your ability to adapt, to grow, to learn, that's your real superpower. And the more you lean into that, the more resilient you'll be. So when life does throw you a curveball, and it will, you'll be ready. You'll know that no matter what happens, you've got what it takes to keep going. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Not just surviving, but thriving. Not just getting through life, but really living it. So take a deep breath, look inward, and start building a foundation that's solid enough to handle anything. You've got this. That's a wrap for today's episode of the Rise Up podcast. I hope you found this conversation inspiring and picked up some ideas on how to focus on what truly matters. Remember, the key to avoiding most of life's crises is to build your foundation on values and strengths that come from within. If you'd like to revisit anything we talked about, don't forget the PDF transcript is ready and waiting for you in the description. Thank you for joining me today, and until next time, stay strong, stay resilient, and keep rising up.